very good morning. This presentation is brought to you by Resonate International with a mission to leverage knowledge worldwide. The topic being covered is Ocean, the blue eternity of life. Ladies and gentlemen, before humans measured time or drew borders, the oceans were already speaking. In the hush of tides, the churn of monsoons, and the rhythms of moonlit shores. Ancient Indian cosmology viewed water as Jala, not merely as an element, but as a Mahabhuta, a primal force connecting the material to the metaphysical. The myth of Samudra Manthan, the churning of the ocean, did not simply describe an event. It offered a profound truth that life's greatest treasures emerge from the deepest turbulence, and only when opposing forces learn to coexist. Today, Earth's oceans remain the planet's most essential force. Vast, vital, mysterious, and in perpetual motion, the oceans cover over 70% of Earth's surface. They have given rhythm to the planet's life for over 4 billion years. They breathe for the Earth, balance its temperature, generate over half of its oxygen, and govern rainfall and climate far beyond coastlines. Yet, in the speed of modern life, this vast sentient system is being overdrawn, overheated, and overlooked. Beyond their visual majesty lies a complex dynamic system that sustains biodiversity, regulates climate, and nourishes economies. The oceans are not empty blue spaces. They are living libraries housing 230,000 known species and possibly millions more yet to be discovered. They carry a biodiversity that is ancient, adaptive, and irreplaceable. Coral reefs, often called the rainforests of the sea, which support a quarter of all marine life, are bleaching under the heat of rising temperatures. 1/3 of global fish stocks are now overexploited. Every year, 11 million metric tons of plastic make their way into the sea, suffocating ecosystems and poisoning the food chain. The oceans act as Earth's great lungs and thermostat, absorbing over 30% of carbon dioxide and more than 90% of excess heat from global warming. But this mercy has a limit. Acidification, sea level rise, dead zones, and altered currents are symptoms of an ocean under siege. Economically, the ocean sustains a $3 trillion blue economy, from fisheries to shipping to tourism, supporting the livelihoods of over 3 billion people. Yet this wealth often comes with unchecked extraction, deep sea mining, and coastal destruction, threatening the very foundation of marine resilience. The rising sea levels and increasing frequency of extreme weather events threaten coastal communities and island nations with displacement and irreversible loss. But beyond facts and figures, oceans hold a deeper dimension. They are spiritual archetypes, symbols of the formless, the eternal, and the undivided. In Indian thought, to sit beside the sea is to remember the soul's vastness, its cycles, its surrender. Oceans are not just planetary organs, they are cosmic mirrors. What's the way forward? The healing of the oceans will not come from fear or guilt, but from wisdom, wonder, and will. Ocean literacy must therefore rise. The way forward demands not repetition of what is known, but recognition of what is deeply forgotten. Following four paths can be considered that invite a new kind of relationship with the ocean. 1. Ocean as curriculum. To introduce ocean consciousness into education systems globally, not as a topic but as a lens blending science with mythology, ethics, and environmental citizenship. Second, innovation bound by ethics. To establish a global ocean ethics protocol to guide marine technologies, resource extraction, and exploration, ensuring that progress remains anchored in planetary balance and future accountability. Third, decentralized ocean stewardship. To create blue circles, localized, youth-led coastal innovation hubs that monitor, restore, and report ocean health, fusing ancient coastal knowledge with real-time data and civic action. Fourth, youth as ocean keepers. To launch a Blue Eternity Fellowship, a global initiative empowering young minds in climate science, technology, storytelling, and diplomacy to lead restoration and reimagination not as followers but as founders. This is no longer about protecting a resource. It is about restoring a relationship between civilization and the source from which it once rose. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, in the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna speaks of the wise, he into whom all desires flow as rivers into the ocean, which through ever being filled remains unmoved, he attains peace. So too must humanity become vast in awareness, steady in resolve, and serene amidst rising tides. The oceans are still generous. They continue to give oxygen, rain, medicine, memory. But they now ask for more than policies. They ask for presence. They ask not for conquest but for cooperation, not for pity but for partnership. To listen to the ocean is to hear earth breathe. To protect the ocean is to protect the pulse of life. And to restore the ocean is to return to the blue eternity from which everything began. Good luck, best wishes, and God bless.